Here's how I raised prices more than 50% on a 30 million ARR company without any churn. We need to go to somewhere else in the budget structure, to somewhere else in the organization, somewhere that also has money to pay for certain things like API calls and storage or reporting. And then we need to tell them that we're doing these things for them and that they need to pay for it. So this is why I called it wallet structuring, because a wallet has different compartments and there's a credit card in each compartment, and you need to max out every credit card that the customer has, right, to maximize the value. And because the head of claims, his unit economics are now stable and he doesn't have to pay anything else, so he's happy. The CIO recognizes that if we lifted the entire system in, he would have to pay for these things anyway, so he might as well do it to you. And then the head of compliance, he needs these reports, so he needs to pay as well. This case is a couple of years old, but it was an InsurTech company that had a lot of large insurance companies as its customers. And we were doing a claims management system, and the client of mine, was wanting to have higher margins. So essentially they say, well, we're solving this claims management problem for all the insurance companies that we're selling to, and we feel that we're delivering more value to them, but we can't really raise prices because we're getting a lot of resistance. Can you please help us? I took on the project and I helped the company, and here is sort of the broad outlines of what the issue turned out to be and how we solved it. And the outcome actually was that I developed a concept I call, and I have since used a lot, called wallet structuring. And wallet structuring is a really nice concept to increase the value and the price in an enterprise SaaS context. So the company that I was working for, they had a claims management system, and they had a very, very simple model. I'm going to change all the numbers, so I'm not giving away any of their particular secrets here, but the overall the case remains the same here. But they had a system where they say, well, we're going to have a price per claim. So whenever our insurance customer runs a claim through the system, we're going to count that one, and then we're going to charge, let's say, just $10 per claim. Okay, that's great. So they had a lot of volume that ran through this, and this was great. The problem was that $10 per claim, this system, the entire system, was charged to the head of claims. So the guy in the insurance company whose responsibility it was to handle claims. So he used the software, it was sort of his line of business that had all the value, and then he had to pay this price point, $10 per claim. The problem was that if you go above $10, then his unit economics starts to break down, because each claim also represents a certain value for an insurance company. Let's say it represents whatever, $20. And if you go much closer to 20 than 50%, then it starts to break down for him. So he says, well, I have some KPI on my end. I need to be able to process claims at this price points. I also have other costs and so forth. So if you go above $10 per claim, it really starts to hurt my business model, and I'm just very resistant to any kind of price increase like that. Okay, that's great. So they had been, let's say, stuck in this issue with the head of claims. Now, we then looked at the software and what it delivered, and then we had different issues. So we uncovered, why do you actually want to raise prices? And then I said, well, whenever we process a claim, we need to store all the information related to the claim. So let's say that someone breaks a leg and they have a health insurance claim, then we need to store the x-ray, right? So, okay, and x-rays are pretty big and they need to be stored for a long time, and we have a lot of infrastructure costs in our cloud storage because we need to pay for the storage of the claim. Okay, sounds fair. Anything else? Yeah, well, whenever someone has a car accident, then we need to access this database of spare parts pricing. So we need to sort of go and figure out what the damages actually would cost to repair, and then we need to pay a license to the data providers for the car spare parts. Okay, anything else? And on it went. And essentially we figured out that we had a large block of our costs that we could just call IT infrastructure. And then we said, okay, so who needs to pay for that? And then they said, well, we do. Okay, but let's say that the insurance company had to build their own system and do this themselves. Would it be the head of claims that would have to pay for these things? And then they would say, well, no, actually that would likely be, let's say, their IT department. Okay, so we're going to have something called, let's say, API calls here, and we're going to have some gigabytes of, let's say, storage, and we're going to have some third-party data, and that's going to have some different, let's say an API call is cost like 0.0001 per API call, and storage cost, let's say 1 per gigabyte here. And then say the third-party data sources, they're whatever, let's say it costs 20K. So whatever it is that we're actually putting on here, it has certain like natural price points that are just in the market, and we're just going to put this to the CIO, so the head of IT. Okay, anything else? And then was like, yeah, okay, we also have some reporting that we need to do, and then we could put that to their compliance department, and then we would price this per report that they needed to do, and so forth. So in the end, what we did was we said, well, the head of claims, his unit economics breaks down to 10. So if we want to raise prices, we need to go to somewhere else in the budget structure, to somewhere else in the organization, somewhere that also has money to pay for certain things, like API calls and storage or reporting, and then we need to tell them that we're doing these things for them and that they need to pay for it. So this is why I called it wallet structuring, because a wallet has different compartments and there's a credit card in each compartment, and you need to max out every credit card that the customer has, right, to maximize the value. And because the head of claims, his unit economics are now stable and he doesn't have to pay anything else, so he's happy. The CIO recognizes that if we lifted the entire system in, he would have to pay for these things anyway, so he might as well do it to you. And then the head of compliance, he needs these reports, so he needs to pay as well. So with exercises like this, we actually get to raise prices quite tremendously. And I think in this particular case, we raised prices something like 50 to 60%, to change a little bit from account to account. And we did so on their entire cohort of enterprise customers without anyone churning at all. It took about a year because contracts needed to come up for renewal and so forth. So you need to sort of go through the motions of renegotiating and explaining the new model and why it works and so forth. And sometimes you have a little bit of like a phased approach where they don't jump all of the price increase in year one, but it takes 2 or 3 years to actually get to sort of full ramp on the new pricing. But everybody tends to understand that these things need to be paid for in order to deliver the service, especially in enterprise. SMB, not so much, but in enterprise, because they already have the budget structure and they already have the departments and they're already used to buying it and they have a procurement process for these things, they're actually more inclined to be willing to pay for these things compared to an SMB where it's just like the owner's money all in, right? So it is one of the go-to pricing architecture tools if you really want to monetize enterprise and you want to go through that procurement process without being chainsawed in half by their pressure for discounts on your core metric. So wallet structuring, enterprise SaaS, usually really good idea. I hope if you're in that situation that it's useful and that I made it clear enough for you to start to play with and implement. Good luck. Hey there, so I create these videos for free so that you can take your great SaaS product and turn it into a great SaaS business. So if you like the video and you got value from it, you should of course subscribe to the channel and also tell a friend. So write someone and say, hey, you're in SaaS, this guy talks about SaaS, maybe there's something in there for you. So that is the only way that this channel actually grows or these videos gets around. And this is sort of how I try to provide value to everyone. I have a network of clients that I have, and I get most of my business from referrals only. So the reason I make the videos and write the books and so forth is actually to just provide value to everyone else, because I can only be in one place at a time. So my hope with all these videos is just to do more good in the world. And if you tell a friend or you share, you can help me do that. So thank you.